делай, не делай. Не делай да, мага, не делай да, брат. Переверни да, Иисус.
You tell yourself things, but you don't execute on them.
Come on, man. Oh, damn.
Current lightweight champion Islam Makhachev finds himself having a little bit of fun while being in training camp for the highly anticipated matchup against Alexander Volkanovski in UFC 284, which will take place at the RAC Arena in Perth, Australia, on February 12, 2023. You can see him mocking former featherweight and lightweight double champion Conor McGregor as he's riding a bike hands-free, even showing some shadow boxing skills, just like McGregor used to do back when he was preparing for his events. Even though we can see some of the funny sides of Islam Makhachev, it's clear to us that he's training very hard to successfully defend his belt for the first time against #1 pound-for-pound fighter Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Henry Cejudo claims Brandon Moreno is out of order. Triple C recently shared his thoughts on Moreno's comments at UFC 283 on his YouTube channel. Cejudo claimed that it came across as disrespectful to the Brazilian audience. Furthermore, he noted that it was likely part of why Moreno wound up getting pelted by the crowd on his way out. "You just called the Brazilian people dogs," Cejudo said. "I wouldn't say that right after. Maybe when you're with your Mexican people, you say that, and they'll get it. I just think what he said was out of line and out of context. I could also see what he was trying to say or mean by that." Let's hear it from Triple C himself.
Of course, man. You just called the Brazilian people dogs. Like, Viva Mexico perros. Like, it almost like... Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I want to say that right after... You know, maybe if you're with your Mexican people and you say that, I think they'll get it. But... I just think what he said was just out of line and out of context, but I could also see what he was trying to maybe say or mean by them. Maybe he just got excited and said the word perro, dogs. Like it's like if you translate it, it's like, you know, long live Mexico, you dogs. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of what Kobe ended up pulling out. So they started throwing all kinds of beer and other things like that. If you see him walking out, it's an experience he'll probably never forget. But I think that's B-roll for the Pantoja versus Davis Figueiredo fight.
Belal Muhammad fires back at Gilbert Burns for accusations of ducking him. Following his impressive first-round finish of welterweight veteran Neil Magny at UFC 283, Gilbert Burns put the rest of his division on red alert, calling out the division and its ranked contenders for ducking him. One such contender, Belal Muhammad, hit back at Burns, suggesting that the level of competition he faced in Magny did not warrant a call-out as strong as the one Burns issued. On his Twitter, Remember the Name lashed out at Burns.
"I just beat number 5, Wonderboy. I beat number 5, Luke, and I had to fight them back-to-back. So then I'm looking at number 4, Gilbert. Should be the next step, but I got ducked. So then I had to go downward to number 15-0, number 7, John Brady. Beat him because I was ducked. So I'm glad you guys aren't falling into this narrative. I'm glad the world, smart world, would understand that Sean Brady's just a white version of Gilbert without the fro. So why would I duck him? I appreciate you guys, Linkers. I appreciate you guys. You guys are smart. Congratulations on beating number 14, Neil Magny, who would probably lose to Jake Paul. Congrats, man. Congrats.
Israel Adesanya gets emotional after seeing Jamahal Hill crowned champ. During a recent video uploaded to his YouTube channel, Israel Adesanya can be seen reacting to the fights that were on offer this past Saturday at UFC 283. In terms of the headliner inside Rio de Janeiro's Junesse Arena, the last style vendor suggested that Hill's performance and post-fight display of emotion has further lit a fire under him as he seeks two-time champ status in 2023. Take a look.
Did watching the belt get wrapped around Jamahal fire you up?
Yeah.
And you?
100%. Like, cause I remember
even looking at him, like, you know, black boy is tall, and seeing the way he just going through it, I could relate. So yeah, I am fired up. I'm fired up. I was already fired up.
Now it's time for our take. What's next for the light heavyweight division? The light heavyweight division has had 4 champions over the past 3 years since the relinquishing of the championship belt by Jon Jones, who's making one of the most hyped up comebacks of all time on March in a different weight class, and now has become even more interesting with the newly minted champion Jamahal Hill and the retirement of Glover Teixeira. Former champion Jiří Procházka is out injured, but already training to get the belt that in theory was never taken away from him. We also have a young, dangerous top contender in Anka Lev waiting in line after coming out of one of the closest fights of last year against former champion Jan Blachowicz, who, by the way, is still in the title picture. However, with the division being so competitive among their top contenders and the lack of fighters who could really bring the heat media-wise, this opens up the opportunity for fighters from other divisions to take a claim at the light heavyweight belt. Names like Khamzat Chimaev, Alex Pereira, and even Israel Adesanya are all potential shouts for the belt. We at MMA Gold News believe Jamahal Hill will defend his title this summer against Jiří Procházka to solidify his status as the undisputed light heavyweight champion, then gets a super fight against Alex Pereira at the end of the year if Pereira keeps his middleweight belt. Thank you for listening to another edition of Our Take. Let's get back to the news. Jiří Procházka claims Jamahal Hill is the best on-paper light heavyweight. In a recent interview on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, Denisa shared his thoughts of Hill versus Teixeira, as well as who he thinks the best light heavyweight in the world is right now. The Czech star was quick to remove himself from the discussion and focus on the rest of the division more impartially. I don't want to speak about me because I want to be focused on being healthy, to be ready to fight. Procházka explained, on the paper, right now, it's Jamahal Hill, yeah, on the paper, but I'm still here, and I work on that to be back and to be the best. Let's listen to the former champion himself.
Who's the best light heavyweight on the planet right now?
I don't want to speak about me because I want to be focused for to be healthy, to be ready to fight. And on the paper right now is the Jamahal, yeah, on the paper, but I'm still here, and I'm working on that to be back, to be on the paper, to be the best. But normally, I'm taking myself like the best on light heavyweight on the world. That's my opinion.
Do you think Procházka will earn his belt back? Conor McGregor refutes allegation of 2022 Yacht attack. McGregor never ceases to appear in headlines, and that's currently the case after he was accused of assaulting a woman on his yacht in Ibiza last July. Talk of an attack happening on the vessel first arose weeks after the incident, with reports noting that an individual who grew up in the same neighborhood as McGregor had reported an assault at Sundra Garda station in Crumlin, having returned home from Spain. McGregor was initially cleared of being involved in any wrongdoing by Spanish investigators, but troubling claims have now emerged that state the notorious superstar kicked and punched the alleged victim, forcing her to flee the boat into the water. McGregor's spokesperson, Karen Kessler, has released a statement expressing McGregor's vehement denial of the actions he's accused of. Mr. McGregor is steadfast in his denial of all the accusations made by a guest on his boat, the statement read. That's all for today's video. If you want to know the latest UFC news, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and click the like button so you don't miss any details about the upcoming fights. Thanks for watching. See you soon.